welcome back to another edition of the Change My Mind podcast.
I won't change my mind because I don't have to, because I'm an American.
Yes, you are, and I'm Wesley Sykes. To the other side of the ether is the butcher to my Kessler. It's Mr. Nicholas J. Eskfryer, alien parasite for hire.
Yeah, that you're the alien parasite. I'm the one that has the alien parasite.
Well, we would be kind of one and the same. Like, we are Venom.
This that's what we are.
Yeah.
We are Venom. There you go. That's the show's new name.
There it is. Yeah, nice little pivot.
Yeah, it was, dude. That was what a twist that was. I know we were talking beforehand, and you said that the Mac and Group program kind of saw it coming, and we'll get to it. We're gonna obviously be spoiler heavy, but man, that was the way they did it, regardless of whether or not you saw it coming. The way they revealed it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was really cool. It was nice. It was kind of like the angel and the devil on the shoulder kind of meeting at one point in time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we get that there. I was a little taken aback as soon as we went live on here. It turns out that you need an X premium account to create live broadcasts on their platform.
That's right.
I was like, oh, so I wasn't sure if we were actually live at the moment and the whole thing paused. But it looks like we're recording. We're live. We're good.
Yes, we're on YouTube. We're not on Twitter right now.
Yeah.
Or X, whatever you want to call it.
That's disappointing.
Yeah, I forgot about that. They changed it like out of friggin' nowhere. I think it was like right before I went on vacation. So yes, that's why I forgot about it too.
All right. Well, hopefully you at home haven't forgotten about us. You know, Nick has been away. We've still been turning out the content for you in spite of that. But this week we're back live. We're both stateside to review season 4 of The Boys, starring Anthony Starr, excuse me, and Carl Urban. The R and L's always screwed me up. I think I had like a little speech impediment as a kid.
Yes,
because I always like slowly get over there. It's like, don't ask me to say Tucker Carlson. Like that doesn't I kind of like, I'm like I got marbles in my mouth when I say it. But
you could just do Carl Urban.
Urban. Oi. But before that, Nick, as I just mentioned, you were back on your vacation. Give us your best and worst parts of your vacation.
Okay, so for my best, the best, I'll say the best like scenery was Venice. The best sights, I guess, was Paris, because I visited Notre Dame, even though it's under construction after it caught fire. And then, dude, the Eiffel Tower. Maybe I'm just a dumbass. I don't know, but like I knew it was big. Obviously, but when I saw it in person, finally, like up close, I was like, holy shit!
It's big, huh?
I mean, it's fucking massive. Like
it's a grower and a shower. Good for him.
Had absolutely no clue. The best food on my trip though was Milan, which I was like blown away by. I had this pasta there that was amazing. They had the best gelato on the trip.
Better than like Paris bread, like French bread and stuff like that. Yeah.
The best wine on the trip was in Paris. I will say that. Okay. Had sorbet there, which was awesome. But there was like the pasta in the pizza was awesome. But there was a specific pasta dish that we got. It was like a white sauce with a little bit of a kick to it, and the spaghetti. Look, obviously you're gonna going from pasta anywhere else and then pasta in Italy, you're gonna expect it to not be nearly as good. But I ordered spaghetti there, and I'm like, whatever, it'll be good here. It's in Italy. It was like, this is embarrassing that we call like America, like what we call spaghetti. It's not even fucking close.
Yeah, like a box of Prince spaghetti. Yeah.
Like, you have like the tiny thin noodles that are like basic, like in America, that are like the size of like lead pencil, sticks. This was like basically our fettuccine. It was crazy. So I absolutely loved that. And then all around, like I just had a lot of fun in London. I've always wanted to visit England. In London is obviously different from other parts of England, but
and the food, it must have been outrageous there. It must have been fantastic.
Oh yeah, of course, yes. England is very much known
for English cuisine.
I will say like the beer there, like the ales were really good. I did enjoy that quite a bit, and the history with all these places was just awesome. So I know you asked for the best, like trying to give the highlight reel. Now the worst. we did a lot of train. We went from England to Paris and then from Paris to Milan. Now that Paris to Milan trip is a long ass one, and that was 14 hours. I will
okay.
say,
did you get a sleeper cart?
I did not, but because we left we ended up getting in around midnight that day into Milan. Now I was expecting to read, I was expecting to fall asleep, watch a movie, whatever, but I ended up having a very enjoyable 14-hour ride by and large because we went through the Alps.
Yeah.
Didn't realize that. I knew we were going through a mountain range. I'm just a dumbass and didn't know the Alps was in France as well.
Yeah.
So that was amazing getting to experience all of that. But the worst part wasn't the 14-hour ride, Wes. So we booked all this stuff through our transportation, our hotels, through this company that Lauren had experience with in some capacity. I forget to what degree, but they set up all that stuff. They gave us the information, booked our tickets, booked our hotel rooms, did a great job by and large. I would recommend people using them in the future if they ever reached out and asked me. But this one thing, I don't know if it was their fault or if stuff happened with the trains or whatever, but we get to a certain point in France, we're pretty close to the border with Italy, and we pull into this train station. They're like, everybody's getting off here. And we're not in Milan yet. And we weren't told we're getting off anywhere. What the fuck are we talking about? We had to take a bus that transferred us to another station.
Oh, no.
We're in the middle of France. And don't get me wrong, everybody across Europe, they all speak English in some capacity, but I felt like where we were, and the people we were dealing with on the train, they were not the best among the people that we had encountered. So it was oh my God, what the fuck are we doing? So and when they announced it over the speaker, when they said it in English, it was all the radio was all garbly. So I didn't understand it. So we're what the fuck? So it was very rattling. So then we finally get on the bus though. And we take this 20-minute ride through this little French town, which was cool. But it was just dude, this is what the fuck?
Your fight or flight instincts kick in at that point. You get a shot of cortisol, and you're all right, yeah.
Yeah, I was rattled, dude. I was it was not that freaked me out a little bit. And then we get in late, and then it takes us forever after we get off the train because they only have 2 people checking all the passports, and they have Italian military guys there, check, watching all of us, and I'm just what is this? They expecting somebody to come in that isn't supposed to be allowed in. So it was that was wild.
That sounds like it was very stressful. I'm not sure if I would like that. That probably would be the worst part of my trip.
Yes, that was definitely the and again, maybe part of that was is a normal thing. Maybe that wasn't. I think if I'd known that was going to happen, the transfer, we were told by the people that booked everything, then, okay, that's just what it is. It just feels kind of weird, but this is normal. The not knowing is just what really threw us both off.
Yeah, I would not like that one bit. You mentioned some of the ales that you had in London. Did you have a traditional English breakfast? Blood sausage, baked beans, eggs.
I did not. I had fish and chips and I had afternoon tea though.
Okay. All right. Nice.
Yeah,
okay.
The tea was at the Shard, which was it was awesome. We got this whole setup thing and everything. It was great. But no, I did not do that.
Did Lord of the Rings, obviously not London per se, but did Lord of the Rings film in England?
New Zealand. But the scenery type stuff is definitely, when Tolkien wrote it, was inspired by the countryside of it.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if you go visit the Shire or anything like that there, but you did Abbey Road, it looked like.
Yes, we did Abbey Road. We just did London. I remember looking up a comp of how big London is versus US states. And it's England is versus US states. And it's pretty good size. It would take, I think 3, maybe 4 hours to get to the northern part because we're a pretty southern part in London. But yeah, we did there. We did Camden Market, the Tower of London, Buckingham Palace, Hyde Park. Actually, so this was a crazy one. We're walking through Hyde Park, which when Lauren studied abroad there, she spent time going over to Hyde Park and whatnot. And there have been many a concert over there through the years. And we're walking by, or as we're walking through, we're hearing a concert in the distance. We don't know what it is. We end up walking by it as we're going through and can't quite make out who it is that's singing. We look it up later in the night when we get back to our hotel. It was Stevie Nicks. And then we also find out who joined her at the end of the concert was Harry Styles, just casually in this park, having a concert.
Only in England.
Yeah.
Only in London.
Wild, dude.
That's good stuff. Bosh.
Yeah. So we had a nice time all around.
Good stuff. I love to hear. Well, welcome back to the States. You seem
Thank
a little bit more cultured, so I think that European vacation has rubbed off on you a little bit.
I hope so. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see as we get into our topic today.
Yes, but before that, we have to get into your comic book minute, which may be 2 minutes. It's been a minute since we've done it.
A superb choice.
It has been a while. I will actually keep it quicker today. We got the first issue of the new TMNT run over at IDW. We don't talk about IDW a ton, but TMNT, of course, their biggest property over there. And I know Joe actually got an early look at this while I was away, and he absolutely loved it. Jason Aaron is writing this run, who's done a lot of stuff at Marvel over the years, doing some DC stuff in the future as well. So Matt, that's massive there. From Image, we got the final issue of No One, which is a series that I've been raving about for the past, I think, year and a half now. At least the final issue of this initial story. If they do more, we'll see. We got the final issue of the first arc of Feral, which we had the writer of that series on TLDR. That is basically I forget the cat portion.
It's about hogs, right?
It's actually, why am I blanking on the cats? It's not Aristocats, but that's bugging me. But it's like
the cat's paw.
It's basically like cats meet
cat dog
28 days later. So it's like a zombie, it's like a zombie cat story, but it's like with rabies.
Oh, but Cats like the Broadway musical Cats. Gotcha.
No, that's my fault. No.
I'm trying to follow along here.
I'm forgetting what the fucking Cats comp is in it. Like if it's it's not Aristocats, but it's like
the Aristocrats.
Oh, God damn it. Anyways, you get my point. We've talked about it on TLDR plenty. We've had the creator on the show, the writer on the show. We're actually going to have them back on with the first arc concluding. It's been a hit series. Also on TLDR this week, we'll be doing the August solicit. While I was away, we did some interviews. We got one more coming out at the end of August, but that wraps up getting the rust off in the comic book minute.
Maybe not so cultured here. Maybe I spoke too soon.
God, that's pissing me off. I cannot remember what it is.
You pulled that up. Let's flip-flop the red and black here while you pull that up. I'll do the synopsis this week. You got the cast and crew, because let's face it, I did win A Quiet Place Day 1 original versus prequel.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
As judged by myself, we are appointing new leaders as we are in this country. So, I feel like it's only appropriate. If we're just naming new candidates, I'm going to name myself the winner of that. So, The Boys, Season 4, Exit Survey. Probably not the only time we're going to get polycharged here, because this is a pretty polycharged series. But The Boys, Season 4, a group of vigilantes set out to take down corrupt superheroes who abuse their superpowers. That's for the series as a whole. I couldn't really find a synopsis of Season 4 specifically, but if you're a fan of the show, you get the idea. You know what it's about.
Yep. Sorry, I was still trying to find.
Oh, you still haven't even come up with it yet, huh?
No, I can't. I know the 28 days later comp, but I can't remember the other half of it. But anyways, whatever. So the cast and crew for Season 4 of The Boys, of course, the created for TV by Eric Kripke. The original writer, of course, of the comic book series is Garth Ennis, and I'm blanking on the artist again, even though we see him mentioned every single time. I'm off to a hot start today. Starring Carl Urban as Billy Butcher, Jack Quaid as Huey Jr., Anthony Starr as Homelander, Erin Moriarty as Starlight or Annie, Jesse T. Usher as A-Train, Laz Alonso as Mother's Milk or MM, Chase Crawford as The Deep, Tomer Capone as Frenchie, Karen Fukuhara as Kimiko, Nathan Mitchell as Black Noir, Colby Minifi as Ashley Barrett, Claudia Dumit. I feel like I should be able to pronounce I feel like I should be able to pronounce that. Dumit. Claudia Dumit, we'll go with that. As Victoria Newman, Cameron Crovetti as Ryan, Layla Robbins as Grace Mallory, Giancarlo Esposito as Stan Edgar, Matthew Edison as Cameron Coleman, Susan Hayward as Sister Sage, Valerie Curry as Firecracker, Simon Pegg as Hugh Campbell or Hugh Sr., and then Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Joe Kessler.
Yes, and big cast and crew here. The only one I feel like we really left off was Huey's mom. Who played a decent role, but probably not coming back for season 5, I would imagine.
And the artist on The Boys was Derek Robertson, by the way. I want to make sure I circle back. I keep forgetting that.
Garth Ennis, Derek Robertson.
Are you mocking me with
No. I wasn't. I kind of talked over you when you were finishing Roberts.
Gotcha.
So I didn't hear the ON part. So I was for the audience. I wanted to confirm one way or the other. So,
I'm going to take that as an insult because I've been messing up so much shit.
So David Robertson, New York Yankees relief pitcher.
Exactly. Yes. He was a beast.
Paul Ennis, former Penn State Nittany Lion running back.
Oh, that's too deep of a cut for me.
Ennis, no, you used to be in like the old Madden games, and you'd be like, "Oh, let me run up the middle with P. Ennis." But nevertheless, no box office because it's a streaming show. But the critics' reception, this received an 8.0 out of 10 on IMDb, a 93-53 split, very torn on Rotten Tomatoes. And a 4.5 out of 5 on Google reviews, with 92% of Google users liking this season. As it compares that 93-53 split on Rotten Tomatoes to previous seasons, season 3 got a 98-75 split. Season 2 got a 97-83 split. And season 1 had an 85-91 split. So pretty close. This is definitely the most divisive of the season so far, though, just based off of Rotten Tomatoes and maybe our own scores.
Yeah, all around. But it's been clearly a steady decline from the audience ever since the first season, and this is the first time we've seen the critics dip down since the third season, because was it 85, 97, 98, so progressively moving upward. But yeah. I do think that it still makes sense to have this below at least season 2 and season 3. But we'll get into that a little bit more. Do you want to go through the episodes and how
yeah, we can go through the episodes real quick here. 8 episode season. Episode 1, Department of Dirty Tricks, 7.5 out of 10 on IMDb. Life Among Skeptics or Skeptics. I don't know if I wrote that right, but let's say Skeptics. 7.1 out of 10 on IMDb. We'll Keep the Red Flag Flying Here, 7.6 out of 10. Wisdom of Ages, 9.0 out of 10. I believe that's the Homelander episode where he goes home. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, 8.2 out of 10 on IMDb. Episode 6, Dirty Business, 7.6 out of 10. The Insider, episode 7, 8.4. And then just the season 4 finale was the name of the season 4 finale. And that's 9.3 out of 10.
Yeah, that one got renamed, I think, because of
did it? Okay.
Yeah,
so
I think
because it's a little early.
Yeah, I think it got renamed to season 4 finale. Like that was it. It was not that previously.
I wonder if that had anything to do with the assassination attempt on the president.
I think that whole event is what led to that. Yeah. I think that was I'm pretty sure that, because that came out while I was away. So I think I remember seeing about the warning label, and I could have sworn like the renaming of the episode also came out with that news.
Yeah, I guess this is a pre-exit survey question. Obviously they had the label on front, the disclaimer on the front saying that this obviously, like, we don't condone any real world violence, and this was, made months and months in advance. Do you think they edited anything out? Did that last episode feel a little disjointed at all to you, or? I
remember, so I obviously try to be aware of the chat when it comes to spoilers. And I know, it's funny. By and large, like, I felt like the group, from what I saw, was pretty tame in terms of like spoiling shit. Unlike
I would say so.
Whereas X-Men animated series, was like, you couldn't talk about it fast enough.
Yeah.
So I remember seeing you guys, like, somebody, I feel like Billy mentioned it, how the ending was disjointed. I didn't feel that way at all. Like I thought, based on what you guys said, that the season 4 finale would get a lower rating, but I felt more akin to or along the lines of like the 9.3 for that episode.
Yeah. I don't know. It was the stakes of it all. Everything felt like it was like, again, like, to use that term, fight or flight throughout the whole episode. But in the 7 episodes leading up to it, it was like moving at a snail's pace. So it just felt like everything was kind of rushed, and they were trying to create this air of panic everywhere where it was January 6th and, all the different news that was getting out there with Victoria Nuland being a superhero and all this other stuff just kind of happened, assassinations attempts. And it seemed like they were kind of dancing around some of it. And like, obviously there wasn't an assassination attempt in the show, but it gets referenced like 2, 3, 4 times. So I wonder if something did happen that they had planned for in the show. And they're like, all right, well, obviously this would be in poor taste now.
Yeah. I don't know how. So first of all, your whole point about the pace of the show previously, like before this episode, I think that's actually a pretty fair point, pretty fair criticism. Like how, like, there are I do think there are developments, but there are some things that move a little bit slower. So that is a pretty good call out.
Well, I thought specifically the Nuland virus storyline. Newman, sorry. Yeah.
On the virus. Yeah. I don't know, but the virus thing kind of makes sense too.
Well, yeah, but it just feels like that was like on a back burner for a lot of it. And then they're like, oh yeah, we have to pick this back up again. And then, but like they're focused on like everyone else's like individual story branch.
I remember seeing someone like put a critique out on Twitter about like how Newman was kind of like not utilized as well in this season. And is that kind
of yeah, a little bit like that? Because I thought that would be the main storyline of the season, and it kind of resulted in that. But it started in that and ended in that, and then like they kind of zigzag everywhere else and kind of turn back to that at certain points. But it didn't feel like a through point throughout the entirety of the season.
And with the way things ended, and now that we found out, I don't remember if it was going into this season or like after a couple episodes of this season, but like season 5 is going to be the final season of The Boys. So now, as we're talking about it, I'm wondering even more so, like, is this more like season 4 part 1, and then we're going to get season 4 part 2?
That's kind of my concern. Like, with people, how people talk about Dune part 1 and Dune part 2, and how like the first one is just all build up, and like this could be said, maybe season 4 is like the rising action, and then season 5 is going to be like all of the high points.
I mean, and it's going to have to be. There's only one thing that got brought up in this season that they're gonna, like, it's mentioned in the last episode, and they're going to get to it. I don't know how. It's the Sister Sage stuff with the phase 2. Like, I don't want to get too far ahead. Like, we're already getting into it now. So
I know, yeah. So okay, so let's get your review, your score and tweet length review from us.
Yes. So I think we're definitely not in the same county. We may not even be in the same state on our grades here. I gave this a 93 out of 100. Wild, even for this show. And as much as you're talking about the slow pacing, Wes, that's not what I'm talking about there. Very much on the same level of quality that the show's had in the past. Some of the imagery puts this just below prior seasons for me.
Yeah, so I think we're in agreement there that this is probably the weakest of the 4 seasons. I gave this a 75 out of 100. Once a character of the superhero genre, I can't help but think The Boys has kind of become a character of itself. With like some almost like jumping the shark moments. Maybe I think it was like episode 6, maybe episode 5. Though I enjoyed it and still find the show watchable and probably better than a lot of the other things that I consume or don't consume for that matter on TV. But again, I think season 4 is the weakest of the series so far.
So where we want to start off here?
Yeah, let's jump right into that. How does this season stack up against the previous 3, and have we reached a tipping point yet?
So we didn't give grades for the first season. We didn't review it at the time because I don't think you and I did, prime viewing at that point.
Yeah.
So we did the second one and the third one, and I think we had like very similar grading. I think I had the second season a little bit higher. The third season a little bit higher than the second, but I still have this below those 2. I never gave the first one a grade, so I don't know where I would put it. I think I'd have it the lowest, if not the third lowest. But for me, that is because of the imagery. It gets so vicious. And look,
Yeah.
The comics are vicious. Like, don't get me wrong. They have,
of course, and they have superheroes with blood, and they're just like, it's kind of a crazy thing on its face value.
100%. And like, and we've gotten plenty of that throughout this series. We've gotten plenty of gross shit throughout this series.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind the outrageous violence necessarily, but the gross shit isn't necessarily for me. And I get it. Like with The Boys, you're going to get that, and you need to, but it's gone. Like ever since you had the one, like the Ant-Man guy, like that it's just been one-upping that every step of the way. And it's just like, God damn, dude, this shit's fucking crazy.
And that's kind of what I mean by like a character of itself. It's like, all right, how do we top the superhero orgy? The scene. Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna make Tech Knight into a sodomist. Essentially there.
Well,
like BDSM and all that stuff.
He is like he's into a lot of shit in the comics. Don't get me wrong.
Sure. In season 3, he's like sticking his dick into anything with a hole,
yes.
Which is kind of funny.
Yes. I'm just like clarifying, like they didn't, the character isn't strayed so far from what he was, but at the same time, it's outrageous. They've gone so far outrageous with it.
Yeah, but you as a creator, if you're Eric Kripke, you still have final say of how much you want to turn the dial up, or what you want to include, or what you don't include.
You're absolutely right. No, you're spot on that. I guess what I'm trying to say is that they've stayed true to the character, but they've gone so outrageous with it that it's just like I agree. I'm not trying to. I am kind of splitting hairs, I guess.
I see what you're saying. I think because this is how they what they did in the source material is going to be another point, not of contention, but I would love to get your input on it when we get to it. That's why I love having a comic book guy on here. So I don't read the comic books you do, so we can kind of come at it from two different angles and see where it goes. But I think having that information of like what the source material was and how much they strayed or didn't stray from it is worth noting, because then it's like, it's like for Eric Kripke in a certain sense, you're not really the driver in the seat. You're just kind of following along the road that's already been laid out for you, but you can make those turns if you want to.
Well, I'll just say this right now before we go any further. Like the Boys has like, it respects the source material, but more so than anything, like it's made it its own thing, separate from the comics.
Like the mother's milk, right? And it's like he used to drink mother's milk, but then they twisted that so that was like Homelander's quirk, right? Wasn't that one of the things?
I think so. Like that's a little thing that I don't remember him drinking milk in the show. That's for damn sure. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of little things, like because. Like what happens with Starlight at the beginning of the show with the Deep, right? That wasn't just the Deep in the book in the comic.
Yeah, I think I remember you telling me that or hearing about that somewhere. Yeah,
there's like but just even like what they've done with like Noir is different. What they've done with one of the biggest things is how they've used Compound V in all of this too. So
okay,
that's another like big change. But it's like it's made sense within the course of the story.
Yeah, and I think I still find this show pretty watchable, even though again it ranks last for me. I think that jump the shark moment came. I think it was the Insider episode. It's when the Huey Tech Knight BDSM scene where I thought it was like, okay, like what are we doing here? Like there's like the orgy scene, or the guy like scenes with Love Sausage, or with Ant-Man, the Ant-Man character, like you were saying, or even in was the Ant-Man character Gen V?
No, I don't remember.
There was a girl who gets small in Gen
V.
That sex scene there, right?
Yeah.
So it's like those things are kind of they're definitely like gross and graphic, but it's funny. It's done in a more humorous sense. This didn't really feel too humorous to me in that sense. With the Huey stuff, who takes L after L this season. Tough.
Yeah. It was a
tough season for Huey, but that's kind of where I came to. I'm like, oh, this kind of feels like, it's jumping the shark. And then again, I know they've been very political in previous seasons. Maybe they're political, kind of ripped from the headlines in the comics. But this season in particular felt like ham-fisted, like kind of like forced down our throat a little bit. And like the veil of subtlety was removed, which I think again falls on the writers, maybe inserting themselves into the story or their ideals, or just like being flat out lazy.
I think so. With the comics, it was definitely more of like an assault on superheroes specifically. Like this has always been that still, like it still is that, but yes, it also has always been like poly charged. But that's like, because that's what Garth Ennis does in general, and The Boys is just a big example of that, of like always a level of social commentary in some capacity.
But I think there's like a tipping point to it, because I think there's something to be able to make political commentary or political satire on what's happening in real world events is worthwhile in entertainment, right? To be able to poke fun out of it or poke holes into it. But it feels like it's one-sided, and then that feels like you're just missing out on everything at one point. You know what I mean? Then you're not really having like an honest view of what's going on in society.
Yeah, when you don't have like both sides, yeah, I understand that. I guess my thing is with this, like you have like with Homelander and with Firecracker, like as she kind of adds into the mix and is like like perfect for him. With him, because of how powerful and unstoppable how as he is, and then you add someone like Sister Shade to the mix, it's like they're an unstoppable force. So you're going to see stuff continue to get ramped up in his direction. So while I get what you're saying, and like if The Boys just started out like this right off the rip, then it wouldn't fit. But for me, because of how things have to continue to escalate with Homelander, because he continues to descend into madness, then you add a amazing chess player like Sister Sage to the mix, it all is going to start to play into it like it did in the end for her. So
yeah, it's just the like using like Homelander to become a proxy for Trump, essentially.
But we said that he always was. We've always
it just feels like, again, like the veil of subtlety's been pulled off here. Like there was like maybe some nuance to it, or maybe there's like, oh, like maybe people don't pick up on it, but it feels like they're saying in every episode, this is what we think. These are my politics.
There was no question that it was more subtle as the like from where the show was before. But I guess for me, why I still have the show so high is like all the steps that are made in terms of like how it's escalated, like it fits. It still makes sense. Like it's not it's not like this. There's like Homelander is not part of like your criticisms of this season, right? Like everything.
No, not him specifically, but maybe how he's like portrayed in this by other characters. Again, like they wrap around like the Make America Great Again stuff. They say like, and it's just like an eye roll for me. Or it's like January 6th, and it's like beginning of episode 8, and I'm like, oh, okay.
When they did that, I was like, wow, they're really going for it.
Yeah. So it's like part of it's like, are they going for it, or is it like, I'm just so obsessed with Trump, this is what's on my mind, and this is what we're gonna go. You know, it doesn't feel like it's smart writing to me.
I guess the only, like, if I was to look at it from like that the other side of it, I guess my only thing is like where they were already, like there was that level of influence already. You could I guess make the case of they saw how well it was being received, and they saw how the characters, like there was a level of like mirroring one another, like real life, and then the character, I should say, how there was a mirror there that they just kind of melded them together. I guess there's that case that could be made, but to me, again, it's like, well, they're like you can see how like they Homelander is still true to Homelander, and I get what you're saying about the other people, but like to me, whenever we see these kind of like major like shifts or like kicking into overdrive kind of moves, it's like, but does it fit for the rest of the story? And for me, it still does.
Yeah, no,
so that's why I feel differently on it.
I can see that totally, and I would say like to your point where it's like what you said, it's like it feels like it was subtle, but where they were going with it, like, all right, we're getting this positive critics or fan reception, I guess both, from the first 3 seasons, so let's keep pushing it. But again, to my point of saying like maybe this is the tipping point. You look at the Rotten Tomatoes scores, fan wise, 91, 83, 75, 53. So there's a continual decline there from your audience. If you put stock into Rotten Tomatoes, some people may not. I certainly don't when it doesn't suit my arguments, but
Lord knows I have.
Yeah. So like, however much stock you want to put into that. And then even with like the critic score, 85, 97, 98, all going up on a steady incline. And this has a 93, still really good, but you even see that dip a little bit too.
Yeah. So there's, it's still higher. Like I obviously it's been so long since we got season 1. But part of me wants to go back. I'm like, oh, that got an 85 and it's so far, and like it's not so far behind the other seasons, but it's like that's still a dip from this season. So I wonder why. Like I wonder if maybe it's just people didn't like know how to handle it necessarily, like from a critic.
Yeah, maybe that's a good question. And I also wonder too, it's how I consumed this. This was the first season I watched that wasn't binged. That I watched 6 in succession every week. So I wonder, having a little bit more time to stew on each episode instead of like kind of memory holing things that happened, and then like what ends up happening when you binge something is like you just remember the like 10-pole moments, and then, like you kind of come back to like minor details, but like everything else kind of stays with you and simmers for a little bit.
100%. That's a great point. And I definitely, at least on the last season, if not, I think season 2 as well. Like they did the 3-episode drop and then would, do one at a time. I didn't do a straight up binge, but like, I think we binged the 6 episodes. And then we did the last 2 when we got back from vacation.
Gotcha. So,
yeah, definitely different. That definitely has an impact. There's no question about it.
Yeah. For season 2 and 3, I remember like rushing through the season in like 2 days before we recorded, and like, not that, you power through it and everything. But again, I wondered how much that has on like what you remember, what you retain, and what, sticks out, all that stuff.
I love The Boys, but that's a tough show to binge. Like it is. There's a lot of detail.
There's a lot going on.
It's heavy. It's fucking violent as hell. Speaking of which, do you want to get to what your biggest oh shit moment was? From
yes, we spent enough time on the first question there. Really a lot to unpack there, but good conversation nonetheless. Healthy debates. What was your biggest oh shit moment of the season? So this was either in episode 1 or 2. When all hell breaks loose on the Vaught on Ice show. I don't know if we talked about this on air, but we had definitely talked about this before. About one of my irrational fears is getting my fingers cut off on an ice skating rink, and that literally happens. And my wife would make fun of me for it all the time, and I had to like rewind this and show her because that just freaks me out,
dude. Oh, fuck that shit. I was that was one of the like of all the things, and like there were plenty of things that I like was like out loud, like was like, oh, like when watching the show. This was, but of all of them, I was like, fuck, man, like this is the shit that I get worried about, like on skates.
You tighten up, you kind of like get your shoulders to your neck. Yeah, you grit your teeth a little bit. It's that moment. And the other big one for me was in episode 8, Annie Starlight pulling her hands through the handcuffs.
That was pretty vicious.
It's tough to watch.
I really like. Yes, I agree with you. It was tough to watch. And part of why I appreciate that too is like that's easily a moment where you have a character like she gets her powers back. Like she has to suck it up. She has to figure it the fuck out. Like she gets her powers back. Like, nope, not on The Boys. Like
exactly.
She gets it at the very end where it's like, oh, it's not a big deal. She got her powers back. And it works. It's convenient, but like it's not a big deal at that point. I liked that a lot. That was a really good decision.
Yeah, and good, I'm probably using this term incorrectly here, but good testicular fortitude on her, like the balls on her to be able to like watch that happening and like pull it out. Cause like, again, I don't think I would be able to have the wherewithal to do that.
Yeah, man, that shit was fucking brutal.
What about you?
So obviously like I'm with you on the ice skate one. So when this isn't like oh shit in the sense of like the violence that we're talking about with these 2 moments, but Butcher like tearing Ezekiel apart. Like when you wake up and it's like, what the fuck? How did he do that? Like he just blacked the fuck out. Obviously, we find out later what the hell's going on with this shit, and it's like, Alrighty then.
Do we see that happen though? No, see, I'm memory holing this. So
no, we didn't see it happen.
The camera blacks out with Butcher, right?
Yep, the camera blacks out with Butcher, and we just see Ezekiel like torn to shreds, and it's like, how the fuck did he do that? Like, when did he get those? Like, did he just like? But there's no like laser beam stuff going on. So what is it?
But does Butcher or does Homelander just like rip someone in half with two hands?
Homelander ripped the Spider-Man guy in half.
That's who I'm thinking of. Okay, yes. Okay, and that's why I'm screwed up. I'm thinking Ezekiel Sims from, of course, who could forget Madam Web. So that's where I'm like all a little confused with that. But yeah, that's right.
And again, like there's obviously plenty of like fucking violent things that happen in the course of the show, and that was like honestly like, oh shit, like every time you turn the fucking next episode on, you get a recap of the previous like ridiculous moments that were from the other episodes.
I know it.
God damn it, I don't need this shit again. I relived it. But the Sage lobotomy.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. Oh, that's another one. Couldn't watch it.
When we first saw that, man, I was like, what the fuck is she doing? I thought it was gonna be like something through her ear when I first saw like the pick or whatever, like when she first did it with the deep. My God, when they show it, it's like, no, you got to do it like fucking through the eye. Oh, that was insane, man. Fuck that.
I think they actually used to do that for lobotomies, like back in the day. Like I think they would use a hammer.
I'm sure that was accurate.
Could you imagine? It's like, you know, a rubber mallet or something like that banging up against your eye.
Unreal, dude.
Yeah, I fell asleep between that episode at like shortly after that part. So I watched it once that first time, and then when I went back to finish the episode, I rewound a little bit forward just to kind of remind myself what was going on.
No.
And I purposefully fast forward through that part. I was like, I can't do this again.
No way. No, it also like you're asking the deep to do that for you.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
I think I'm good with that. And then again, not no shit moment in terms of violence by any stretch, but like from a writing standpoint, plot standpoint, when we see the boys like all going their separate ways at the end of it all. It's like, oh, it's like standard. Okay, this is where things are. They're all separated. They're all spread out across the globe. It's like, no, they're all going to get captured. Like last minute thing. We're just going to pull the rug out from under you right here. It's like, oh. So I was impressed by that detail too.
And that was a cool. I forget what the song choice was, but it was a cool song to go over that montage. And then we get the Gen V characters there coming in as well, taking Kamiko and Frenchie. I thought that was really interesting. I thought that was well done. The only other one that for me I thought was kind of crazy was the Deep, A-Train, and Black Noir all killing the Homelander superfans or Laz's ex-wife's boyfriend.
Right. Yeah, that was although A-Train I don't think did end up killing any of them. It was
no, but he was supposed to. Yeah.
Yes, this new Black Noir, like narcoleptic. I think the actor. I think I saw something that the actor actually is narcoleptic.
Oh, is he? It's the same actor.
It is the same actor. Okay,
I think so. Yeah, who's like played him all the previous seasons. Yeah.
Okay, but there's that, and then like the powers, the powers that the character ends up having, like this new guy is like, what the shit? So,
what are his powers? Did I miss that?
Remember when they when the Deep and Black Noir went and attacked Butcher and Starfire at the boy's office?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yes, and remember he ended up like flying and shit.
Oh yeah.
That
was like the end of episode 7.
I think that's what the episode was. Yeah. It must have been because I just saw it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And he gets murder boners. That's fun.
Yeah.
What was your favorite episode from the season?
It was the finale for me. And I know you talked about the disjointedness. Now this may be where I like binged a lot more of the show and things were like a little more that helped me out a little bit more. But the last touch with the, like I was talking about with how it's not a happy ending or like a safe ending for the boys, I should say, where they get away. You see how Butcher, like how he becomes like this third player now in all this, because he could join the boys back up again, but they're really like, even Huey can't trust him. So he's a total fucking mess now. Newman's out of the mix, which I wish she was still around, but Sister Sage has been a really positive addition to the show.
Yeah.
Such a good chess player. My fucking God. Like I couldn't help but wonder with everything that was happening is like you try. Yeah. you trust that it's what she expected to happen, or she at least knew it was a possibility. But at the end there, man, I was like, I the way it unfolded for her and it was in her favor, I still didn't think that, like, I had given up on her at that point, I think.
Yeah, I wonder, it's such a difficult thing to convey supreme intelligence in a superhero show. Like, how do you show that as a power?
Yeah.
You know, so like at times I'm wondering, like, it's just basically her telling you what's going on, which at times I feel like can lag a little bit. But I thought like the end result, so again, I thought it was disjointed. Maybe that adds to it because you don't really have any idea of what's going on. Everything's a lot of moving pieces. Homelander doesn't know what's happening, right? So like everyone's kind of getting filled in real time. Maybe that kind of helps to Sister Sage's plan. But yeah, it's like I liked the addition of Sister Sage, but I think the idea of conveying that superpower is kind of tough.
I do think it's very difficult, and the reason why I feel it was so well executed, because it's definitely a challenge. I feel like anytime we've seen just these superior beings in the past, it's like superior from an intellectual standpoint. They're either like feared because they're the villain, or they're so highly respected on whatever team they're on that it's just like we have to listen to them. That's what it is. Maybe we'll get into a fight here or there, like with Tony Stark. Like, you know, Steve might fight him on like morals or whatever, but like from a logistical standpoint, he knows like Tony's probably right or whatever. With this, it's like she's the smartest person on the planet, period. There's no doubt about it. But Homelander doesn't give a fuck. Like, here's the thing. Like, sometimes he just flat out doesn't care. He wants to do what he wants to do, and that's what it is. So you like there's that like element to it, and I think that just kind of again like shows how valuable of a chess piece she is, and she's not just at all times like, oh, you're a god and worshipped at all times. Like, quite the opposite at times.
Yeah, for sure. I liked the season 4 finale. I thought that was, a fine episode. But it was Wisdom of Ages. I think that's the Homelander returning home. I thought, talking about, again, a little bit of it was like a little uncomfortable, particularly with the guy who was forced to play with himself in front of everybody. I thought that was like, again, a little step too far, but it was certainly like interesting and very unnerving and like had me on my edge of my seat of what's going to happen. When his like lead scientist lady comes in and tries to save everything, I thought like very gruesome Homelander here, and kind of like an unforgiving Homelander coming back for revenge on everyone. And he remembers all these tiny little things, these tiny little details. And then you get a little bit of glimpse into his life about like how, he puts one of the scientists into the incinerator. And he's like, you guys were just watching me while I was burning on fire. You're taking your test results, but you don't understand is the amount of pain that I was going through at every point in time. Like, I still felt all of that, which isn't, you just think of him as this like immovable object who's like, impervious to pain. But you realize that like, all right, he's still feeling all of that stuff at the same time.
Yeah, it's like he's a monster in his own right, but like what these people did to him wasn't necessarily great either. Yeah, it's pretty shitty. So
but I do like the lead scientist who was obviously afraid. I thought the actress did a good job, kind of like balancing her obvious fear of being in front of an apex predator, but also still knowing who he is and seeing the child in him and being like kind of talking to him how no one else would talk to him.
Yeah, no, she did a really good job. Everybody involved did a really good job with that. But it was that was a great episode. Brutal though.
Yeah. And then you get the end scene, right, of him kind of going in the elevator covered in blood. You don't really see anything that's happening. She's banging on the door. Pretty interesting way to end the episode.
Yeah.
We talked about this a little bit already, some of these things, but where do we go from here in season 5? I
mean, this 5th season has to be sheer fucking chaos throughout the entirety of it. It's like everything's like all the chips are on the table. Like the table has been set. It's time to fucking eat. That doesn't mean that we need more as much grotesqueness as we got. We got plenty of that, but we need we know the stakes. A lot of people have died throughout the course of this, and more people are going to, but it's just like you need a winner or a loser at the end of this. Is it Homelander? Or we need all losers, I guess it could be too. but it's, Homelander, Butcher, Homelander you'd think has to go, or maybe he wins out and all the boys are gone. Who knows? But it's just my one big concern in all this is Sister Sage mentioning phase 2.
Mm-hmm.
The fact like that screams a little more table setting to me, which again, I don't mind it to some extent. Like you can't just be all action the whole fucking season, but is that going to get rushed just because we're in this last season, or is that going to make the whole season in general feel rushed? That's my only concern.
I mean, it ultimately comes down to Ryan. What's Ryan's deal? Butcher, Homelander, and then maybe Soldier Boy, but really those main three. Because Sister Sage says a couple times that to Homelander, which again, kind of a dumb line, because anyone who knows like even a little bit about history knows it's like this didn't end very well. But she's like, I want to make you America's Caesar. She says something like that. And like, and Homelander perks up. He's like, Caesar took over Rome and saved it from destruction and remade it into his own. And you had this whole like Renaissance period. And like, well, yeah, that also happened, but he was also killed by his peers and essentially usurped after he won power hungry. So it's like, how do you not see that sort of thing? So
he is a dumbass in some ways. I mean,
is she the one who's gonna be Brutus in this situation, or is it Ryan, or is it Butcher? But the allusion to Caesar would suggest that one of Homelander's underlings would do that. And she's the only one who, again, talks to Homelander like that with any sort of power and kind of talks down to him. And she's the only one who can kind of keep him in check. So like she just won him over by coming back and revealing this big plan with the Secretary of State, or Speaker of the House, rather. So now he's like, wait, but I cast you aside and you still came back. So like that was big points for her. So I wonder if that's the heel turn that she makes next season.
I think you're right. I think that's a great call. Because I did forget, like, I remember her comparing him to like making him into some akin to these other historical figures, but I forgot that it was Caesar. That makes perfect sense that she would end up heel turning on him, because I think there's no question she doesn't like him. And I think she just likes the chaos, and she likes being able to have this unbelievable amount of power and like play chess and prove just how smart she is, and like actually challenge herself in some level, some capacity. So yeah, now that they're going to have all the boys captive, like they're the only ones who've been able to like, get near Homelander and create some issues for him and all this stuff. Now she'll have easy access to them. So now she can utilize them how she wants to.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting. She's the smartest person in the world, but it was like kind of living in squalor. She was like kind of a loser before Homelander got to her.
Yeah, but we hear about smart people or creative people like monetarily not.
Yeah, but in theory, she can learn anything very quickly. Like, why not just like learn the finance system of the stock market, like get crazy rich off of it, and then go like F off on an island somewhere?
This is true.
You get lobotomies all the time. God. I thought Victoria Newman was invincible.
I knew there was. I don't remember. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't. I mean, we didn't really get a whole lot of time with her anyway, so maybe that kind of speaks to that point. Just like didn't get enough fleshing out, even though she was in Gen V as well. And Butcher is Venom now. Does that happen in the comics?
No. Is that the one that you wanted to ask me about?
No, it was about the political commentary. But
okay. But yeah, no, it's not. Like Butcher, they use Compound V in the comics. Like they're able to use that and take it, and he just gets like super strength. And
okay.
So it's like, it's not it like impacts them in a very not crazy way, but in a helpful way for sure. But not. The stuff that doesn't happen. No.
People have been speculating online about, as to what happens to the boys in season 5, that they'll be in one of Homelander's like detention centers or camps or something like that, along with or maybe thrown into the jail with the rest of the Gen V characters, and they get to meet up somehow.
Yeah,
they recreate a formidable boys unit to or like a brand new 7, even with like Starlight, to like a good Starlight, maybe A-Train's in there some way, to kind of combat the bad 7.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. 7 still got to become the 7 again, and you still have Maeve, who's like existing out there. So yeah, that would be yeah, it could, like that's some interesting stuff. Like, I mean, it makes sense to bring Gen V into the mix. You have to.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
that would feel like the easy solution. Like you made the series, it's connected to the world, it's had an effect on this most recent season. Why not combine the 2 there?
Yeah.
Anything else from where do we go from here?
I'm just so hooked on the Maeve. I mean, not Maeve, Sister Sage. Like, heel turn. Like, because I've always felt like I was wondering when I was watching it, and maybe this was just I'd forgotten the Caesar line and just subconsciously was thinking about it. But like, I was like, is she trying to screw him over too and all this? Because I feel like she's annoyed with
She
him.
was giving off that vibe. Yes, that she was annoyed having to do all of this. I agree.
Yeah, so maybe like that. So there's like this combination of all this different stuff going on with her that like clouds it well. But yeah, like what she does in the end, like it's like, oh, I helped you out. I did all the stuff that you needed. In the end, we got the job done.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but I'm like, now I'm just like, I'd love to see her heel turn and just be like, I was fucking you all over and you all got played.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay. I could see that as well. What will age the best from this season?
Homelander. I mean, that's just,
he
just continues to be an amazing character on the show. I still feel like the show itself, I understand how the audience is reacting to it on Rotten Tomatoes. I like Kamiko still continues to be an awesome character for me. Been really enjoying her. And then the direction that Butcher takes at the end, I wouldn't say all of his stuff was the strongest from this season, like especially for what the character has been in the past. But the moment we get that turn or the reveal with Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character, and he's like tells Butcher's wife to shut up, it's like, this is the best, like, a good, like the devil and angel on your shoulder I've ever seen in any film ever, or film, show, whatever. But then it became so much more compelling to me throughout the course of the story. So, and then just like now it's like Butcher's like bad now. Like, it's like we have 3 sides kind of in this now. You have the boys, you have Homelander's side, and then you have Butcher's side.
Yeah, I think that makes it really interesting. I thought the Butcher stuff was pretty compelling. I like the Kamiko character. I think the actress does a good job. I think she's pretty strong, cool hero. It's just kind of has regeneration. Doesn't matter if you cut her leg off or break her neck or anything. I think that's pretty cool.
I think
the storylines I don't care about though.
Well, for me, I actually felt her depth she got a lot more depth in this season. And then like when she speaks at the end, it was like, oh wow, like because I'm waiting for it to happen this whole time. And then it's like there are so many times they could have done it and they made you think it would happen and they never did it. And then again in this whole like montage at the end, they just throw it in a little bit and it's like, oh fuck, like that's where they do it. Like it hit. I wouldn't think it would hit well in that kind of scene, but it did.
And I do appreciate her backstory of where she came from. That little flashback scene of her, like in the, I don't know, it was like the woman fighting ring, the girl fighting you, whatever it was. I thought that was pretty cool background. But so they talk about earlier in the season about how there's some sort of like human trafficking going on, and they learn about it at a Homelander convention.
Yeah.
Right. Don't they go to like some sort of like,
yeah, with her and
Frenchie's there who's on drugs, right?
Yep. When Frenchie's on drugs. Yeah.
But they all say that that's like unfounded stuff, right? That it's all just like propaganda there and it's like loonies and conspiracy theories. But Kamiko, does she reference that actually happens, or does that trigger a memory that it was happening like elsewhere?
No,
like,
she definitely dealt with it in some. No, okay. At the convention, they were saying like Starlight was the one.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah,
Starlight was the one that was doing it, and
it was under like the guise of the Foundation or something like that.
Yeah, right. Whatever these theories were, but it's like no, she was a product of that shit that's happened, and it's like real stuff that's happened elsewhere.
Gotcha. Okay. So she wasn't trafficked by the Starlight Foundation. That I guess that's my roundabout way of saying.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Other things that age the best: the pube jar continues to grow.
Oh, it does. Okay. Well played.
But no, I thought that was kind of a funny, like a funny bit that kind of recurred there. The Deep and his octopus lover, who is Ambrosia. What is something with an A?
I think you're right.
Something like that, right?
I think you got it first try. Look at that.
Funny stuff.
Brutal. Well, you could say that also aged the worst too. That was pretty. That was
you feel for Ambrosia. You get like a little bit of an emotional attachment, and you're like, oh my god, this is so tragic.
Yeah, like the Deep's already a piece of shit, and like, damn man, you somehow made it worse.
Yeah, I thought the Deep was great though this season. I thought it was very, very funny.
He's a great character. He's just a piece of shit.
Yeah, absolutely. When he's like asking for approval from the guy he's about to kill, and he kills him anyway, just like puts his hand through his face.
Yeah, that was like one of the few moments where Deep was like, that was funny.
It's good stuff. And then just the jabs at Hollywood, Marvel, and DC. You know, the thing about DC about like, yeah, we were going to do the A-Train movie, but then it was cheaper to do a tax write-off or something like that. Yeah, I'm just going to right and say it.
Yep.
And then all the like little subtles to like Disney or Marvel with like Vought World and like everything that's kind of like connected in the Vought universe, you know, is funny illusions there.
Bread and butter.
Yeah, that's the good stuff. What will age the worst from this season?
Man, for me it is just unquestionable. That's just the level of grossness that we get in this season. And again, like it fits for the boys, and we've had plenty of gross shit throughout this show. But God, it just got so far. Like the fucking spider guys, like his web slinging power, like I didn't need it to be that way. I forget if in the comics, like I forget, like, but in the way like he's like scared the whole fucking time before he gets ripped in half, it's just, oh God, it was just so much.
And he's just a drug addict who's like constantly sweaty and like out of it, and like just like unpleasant to look at. I agree with you.
But anyways, yeah, that's the standout for me.
Yeah, Tech Knight really took a hard turn for me from being like an obviously kinky character, but quirky and kind of funny to like just really a piece of shit. You know, like, yeah. So like that, I don't know. Again, a little bit of a jump in the shark. I thought all of like most of the boys' side stories I didn't really care for. I was just very bored by them. Annie's foundation scenes, the Frenchie, Kamiko, and that other dude storyline, like it just felt like a waste of time. Again, I would have rather spent more time with like Victoria Newland and on the virus and like get a little bit more of Giancarlo Esposito, you know, something, I don't know, something like that, anything like that. Laz Alonso, like literally,
he just lost weight, didn't he?
I don't know. He looked like a different guy. He looked like before his head looked shorter and wider, and this season it looked longer and skinnier. So maybe he just lost weight. I thought he got off the sauce.
They said something. I mean, getting off the sauce can cause you to lose a lot of weight too.
Yeah.
But I think they made a joke about how like he lost so much weight at the very beginning of the season. And again,
but he didn't look fat or anything in preview. He looked like kind of like bulked or like even ripped.
Yeah, he was bigger, but not in an unhealthy way. I really agree with that. But I remember again, because I was late to watching it, I had the benefit of seeing this is some of the good stuff of waiting. I seeing a lot of people on Twitter being like, "Why did they recast him?" Or like,
I almost didn't recognize him. Yeah,
what happened to Laz Alonso? Like, I don't think Lauren recognized it at first, or like she like was maybe questioned if it was the same guy, something like that. But I remember seeing all that, and then they made a joke about how he lost so much weight. And I guess the character MM did. So I was kind of already prepared for it, and I figured, that they probably threw that line in there as like, this is what happened with him. He lost a ton of weight.
Yeah, that's
true.
Yeah,
but it is like there's no question. Like everyone was like, what the hell happened?
Well, maybe it's for his heart. You know, he was going through panic attacks, had a mini stroke or heart attack or whatever that was. So you gotta open up those bloodstreams a little bit, lose a little bit of weight.
You're just talking about MM now, right? Like
yeah. Anything else? I think we talked about everything else. I just said how on the nose the writers were.
We did talk about
the Tech Knight scene. You know, we talked about that a lot. So, Who had the best performance by a side character?
So again, like we've talked, I think we're finally I have a better grasp on where side characters are. So I think Ashley probably gets the nod. I think she qualifies as a side character.
Yeah, I think so. She's present. She's on the line. Like my general, I thought for this would be like anyone a part of the boys or the seven. Like the main seven or the main boys would be main characters.
Okay, so then yeah, it's definitely not.
But Sister Sage is a new addition. I thought she was really good, and she wasn't like, I don't know. She didn't feel like she was like in there a whole lot.
Yeah,
so I'm okay with that. You know,
but I'll throw her in somewhere else because I like your rule for this show specifically. So no, for me it's Ashley. Like I don't think there's much room for debate. Like she has a brutal season, man.
She has a brutal season. She also is like gets into the BDSM as well with Cameron Coleman, and then also Tech Knight.
Yep.
Which I will say the one funny line in that scene is when Ashley comes down and she greets Tech Knight, and Tech says something like, I left something for you in the other room, and it's not excrement this time. And it's not feces this time. And then she gives like a little pouty face, like, "Aw," and then goes off and like changes into her outfit. So I was like, that's so gross.
So gross, so friggin' weird. And now she's gonna be a new player in all this, it seems like too.
Well, yeah. So she finally becomes the monster, which they, there's some allusions to that. She is talking to A-Train earlier in the season and says something to the effect of like, why does everyone turn into a monster here no matter how hard you try? Like this place just turns you into a monster. And then conversely, Huey's big scene at the end is like, why does everything result in more death around us? Why don't we try to be the good guys and not like do everything by killing and being a monster? So it's like kind of like an interesting dichotomy there. But
that is.
Do you think she turns into like an Incredible Hulk or something?
Ooh, that's a really good call. That would make a lot of sense.
Like some sort of like a monster-esque type hero.
That would make a lot of sense. That would be a really good call. I don't know how that works in all of this.
Like an abomination more than like Hulk.
I guess my only thing is she can. I hope that if they do that, she still can have like a significant impact next season. I just don't want her to be like the finishing blows like on people got to come from like the boys. Or like a Homelander or Sister Sage, like she's earned that. Sister Sage has, or like A-Train, like those characters.
If she's like a mini boss, it gets killed off by episode 3, whether it's by the 7 or the boys, but you get like a little standoff with them, like that. That's probably the best outcome for her, I think. I agree. Don't waste like the whole season. Don't give her a whole season long arc.
No. Yeah, and she can definitely off some people, but not like not a. Like I mean, honestly, if she it'd be weird if she offed Soldier Boy just because like bring him back to have him killed by Ashley quickly. Like,
yeah.
But anyways, she can definitely. I would love to have her have an impact. There's got to be a ceiling on that.
Yeah, and she's my winner for the best performance by a side character just because she's not afraid to leave a floater in her boss's toilet, which I got a lot of respect for. Honorable mention, Sister Sage, I thought was on here. Did a good job. Stan Edgar, it was nice to see Giancarlo Esposito back, even if it was short-lived. I imagine he comes back for season 5 in some form. But what about Will Ferrell?
Yeah, that's out of fucking nowhere, wasn't it?
That was a nice like, oh, Will Ferrell's doing this here, like the Coach Carter Blindside type role,
All right, out of fucking nowhere.
Hardball, yeah, and then we'll never see that movie,
Yeah, nope, never see it.
It's too bad.
That's right.
Who lost the season?
Huey. Dude.
I don't think it's a question.
Yeah. My God. Like it just went from bad to worse from every step of the way. And as much as I look at what happened with Huey and the imposter, because that shapeshifter is like the most elite shapeshifter ever.
Also, that should be something that aged the best. That was an oversight. I thought that was a really cool description of a hero.
Actually, in the side character, I actually think that character is right on par with Ashley too, with less time, but bigger, greater slugging percentage. That character was batshit awesome, like monster.
Tearing the way that she has to get rid of it though is I'm assuming it's a she.
Yeah, you know what? We kept referring to her as she, but like, who knows? Like, we didn't like Lauren was actually saying, like, when the character dies, like, oh, is she gonna turn? Is she gonna turn like back to what her original form is? But she just stays as Annie. But yeah, dude, no, that was so awesome. I love that detail of like, I don't just take your flesh and your appearance, I get everything. Like that's what an amazing shapeshifter that is. So yeah, that was.
But it also shows like the downside of it too, right? So she's saying like she forgets who she is, she barely remembers her face or like her own memories for that matter. So like she does become a sociopath.
So when it comes to Huey, it's still a big L because you slept with someone that's not Annie, but and did apparently things that you only wanted to do with Annie. Yes. So all that stuff, like that's tough, but at the same time, I can totally get why he would have thought it was her because she very much presented herself like in all the right ways, other than these little things that like probably it takes time to add up.
My favorite performance from Starlight or Annie this season was her Erin Moriarty as the imposter.
She was fucking crazy.
She was really good going back and forth like that. I think Annie takes is a good honorable mention for this because you see the light shined on how she's not really a good person, with the stuff between her and Firecracker going back to their like beauty pageant days or whatever it was, and how she started those rumors. And she always kind of plays a victim mentality, which is kind of rich for a superhero to do. But I thought that was best, but I thought some of her worst was, and just like out of nowhere for her character, was how upset she was at Huey for not knowing that it wasn't her, that it was the imposter.
Yeah, I get that she's so when I was watching it and when Lauren and I were talking about it, I'm like, I understand her being upset at the development. Like obviously you shouldn't be fucking happy about it.
Yeah, you're not happy with the outcome, but it's like, what can you do?
Like she knows more than anybody. Like that character, this individual knows how to be you. So it's not, it's not that simple. It's not just like if it was any other shapeshifter where it's like they're pretending to be Annie, like then yeah, Huey should be able to figure it the fuck out. Like if it was Mystique, then he should be able to figure it out. Not here. It's a little bit tougher than that.
Yeah, and again, like there was, it was a nice come together moment when he was like, the way that you found your keys so quickly, or the way that you wore a dress when I know you wear like sweats or whatever he said. Like that was kind of a sweet moment. But
and it was funny when she was like, you're getting every STD test possible, and he was like, yes, yes. I was like, his reaction felt so genuine.
Yeah. But yeah, Huey is the big loser, loses his father, which I thought was an interesting storyline. I thought that was probably the one storyline from the boys part of things that I liked. All the other side quests I thought were kind of detracting from the main story that I was interested in. Huey's mom, she kind of came and went. I saw people speculating online that they thought Huey's mom was going to be the imposter, which would have been interesting because she came out of nowhere and like he would have no idea of who she was or how she acted to be able to tell the difference.
That'd be really good.
But obviously it doesn't appear that was the case, but I thought that was a cool fan fiction note there. Ryan's a little bit of a loser here.
Yeah. Tough go for the kid. It's it's, you're in a really tough spot. And at the end,
he's getting comfortable killing too.
It was very frustrating the way Grace handled the ending there. Like it was just like, you're gonna die here. Like if you don't like figure it clean it up, like give the kid some space, like because Butcher learned that. He learned that he had to do those things, but she did what she did. Ryan took action, and then once like you said, he's getting more comfortable with killing. Like once you saw how he reacted to it, like Butcher had to do what he had to do. Like I'm not saying that. No, Butcher did what he had to do, I guess.
Yeah, and maybe the one character who's had maybe not the most runtime, but like some of the most FaceTime with the audience, like throughout these last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, however long the series has been out. Cameron Coleman, because he's also been the news, the quote unquote news guy for like all the stuff to catch you up in between seasons. You know how they would do those social media clips and like those
awesome
fake
stuff.
news reports.
Mm-hmm.
So like we're pretty familiar with him as a side character. He is a sub, as we found out, who didn't want to be a sub anymore. So he got the L.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he definitely a big L for him this season. Good call.
Who won the season? Anthony Starr, Homelander, continues. I mean, I feel like we've said this the last 2 or 3 reviews that we've done of The Boys, but he needs to be like up for all the awards for this, because the level of maniacy, craziness that he deploys in his face and like all the facial acting, it kind of reminds me of Dennis Reynolds and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, how each season he becomes more and more of a sociopath and gets crazier and delves deeper into the deep end, and in a funny way. And he and Anthony Starr does it in like a scary way.
Yeah. I agree with you on Anthony Starr 100%. Like I can't wait to see him in more stuff. I did see him. I can't remember what the movie was that I saw him in with Lizzie Kaplan. But I remember that it was solid.
That's a good duo. Like it was like a rom-com type thing.
No, it was horror. It was horror.
Okay.
It was interesting. There were some good twists in that one. I definitely it might have been Cobweb or something like that. It was fucking creepy. But the other one, I did move Sister Sage down to here because this is a character who, like, this is an established show. You've got 3 seasons and it's been like, everybody talks about it. You add her to the mix, and she made a very significant impact, and she was on screen just the right amount, and like and moved the pieces around like effectively the entire time. Like her fingerprints were all over this show. Yep. Even if she wasn't like, in terms of screen time, she's probably you have The Boys. So that's like 5 of those, 5, 6 of them. I forget the amount. And then you have Homelander. She's probably getting 7th most screen time at best, which I don't think it's the case. She had a huge impact on this.
Yeah, obviously, I thought that was she was an interesting note to her character. Again, like it's tough to convey her power like that. But I thought they did a good job of her kind of, puppeteering everything from behind the scenes there for sure.
Yes.
Okay, so I gave it a 75. Nick gave it a 93. Geez, what is the math on that? I guess 83 would be maybe 83 and a half.
84. You were so close.
Okay. All right.
Wow. So close.
So on the aggregate score, an 84 CMM aggregate score there. So check it out. It's on Amazon Prime right now if you haven't. If you have, grab your tickets, because now we're shifting gears to the Discharge Depot.
Choo-choo, bitches.
Okay, so yeah, Discharge Depot. Not a whole lot going on for me. It's been a pretty relaxing summer. I've got stuff with the Bourne Braves as they're making a playoff push here, but did some yard work. I don't know if I'll explain this right or describe it right. But I made a trellis archway in my backyard by my fire pit.
Okay, I don't know what that is. I'm gonna look it up.
The things grow ivy up and like goes over like an arch ground, and it's like you see them in gardens sometimes, or like on outdoor patios at restaurants, like those sort of things.
Okay.
So yeah, nice. I built that, but I used two trees as my posts, so I just had to do like the actual arch.
Oh, that's a nice touch.
Yeah, so I just got to nail everything down, the top ones, but I got them all attached to the tree right now. So that was my weekend, and my wife had a great fundraiser at her studio. Raised like $2,000 for the Dana-Farber Cancer Foundation. So
that's great.
A little raffle and stuff. Yeah, it was a good time.
Raffle.
Yeah. Raffling off some gift cards, some scratch tickets.
Good.
A couple bottles of wine.
Oh,
yeah,
that's good. Nice
stuff.
I'm glad to hear that. That was that's awesome. I'm glad and it's obviously been a minute, but since we last convened, but obviously I did all my discharging it from the depot stuff.
At the top here, yeah.
Yeah. At the top.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Did you get speaking of sexual assault and Tech Night, did you get sexually assaulted by the TSA?
No.
No.
But guess what?
What?
Someone else did get randomly selected for a security check.
Lauren did, yeah?
Yes.
Oh my god. Did you tell her that I got
Yes,
that
I
happened to me on both times?
I think I told her after the fact, but I was like,
Yeah.
I definitely fucking told her because like I couldn't believe it. Like she just randomly selected, and it was just like, what the fuck?
I don't think it's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just having like first person syndrome, or what is it, like everyone thinks they're the hero of their own story. But it didn't feel like the first time I was like, okay, this is random. The second time I'm like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah, it's dude, it's fucking weird. Like that happened to you twice, and I mean, I was this close to it being me, so it could have like that would have been too perfect.
Well, had you gone in front, had you been
Yeah.
lead or something like that,
But you know what, dude? You know what? That's probably like what they want us to think, like that they're not onto us. That's what it is.
I know. No, they know.
But speaking of like the first person, like like what you were kind of alluding to before, like I deal with that with planes sometimes. I feel like I did a really good job of like getting past that this trip specifically.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get freaked out every time I fly, but there was like this trip I was a little bit like getting anxious for some reason. I was like, listen, they fly all the time. Why are all these bad things going to happen just because you're on the fucking plane? That's such a narcissistic way to think about things. That said, so when we're in Venice, okay, we have a 6 a.m. flight. So like I want to leave at my place at 4. Just get like the drive is not that long. Obviously it's early in the morning, whatever. But I still just like I'm in a foreign country. I don't want to fuck around. So it's Venice though. So there's no cars really. Like to get into Venice, you can take the train in. There is like a road that leads that's alongside the train, but like everybody gets around by water taxi or you walk. Yep. That's it. So when I got there, I was originally told that like water taxi was how I'd get to the airport. Found out later that a car was more of an option than I realized, excuse me, and much cheaper. So I did end up doing that. But the reason why I like thought later to ask about the car was because I was like, wait a second, I'm gonna get on this water taxi, which isn't speedboat size, but it's not like a fucking big ass boat either. Like it's a reasonably sized boat. I'm gonna get on this thing and it's a fucking half-hour ride to the airport. And I'm gonna do this in the fucking pitch black across the Venetian Bay. I don't know shit about that. Like, yeah, right. I'm not fucking doing that. Like, as soon as I thought about it, I'm like, there's no way in hell. And I'm not crazy for like. I understand. Like, if it was at like 8 a.m, that's whatever. But like, you feel what I'm saying on that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. No, you want to at least have like know where you're going, even if you're not in control of the vehicle.
Yeah, and also like it's not water that I'm like at all familiar with. That's not to say like, hey, maybe like Cape water is more dangerous than the Venetian Bay. I don't fucking know, but that's also the problem. Like I don't know.
You don't know. Yeah, it's the fear of the unknown that can be the most crippling of it, right? Yeah, I can hear you. And just with like the whole logistic thing, when I went with Julia's family to Portugal and Italy. In Italy, I think we were in Florence and going to Naples, or Naples going to Florence, one or the other. But we were taking the train there, and
nice.
We almost missed it. Our driver got stuck in traffic. Like we're running from where the guy dropped us off to the platform, just going through everyone. It's so hot. We don't know where we're going. Her mother was, dealing with health issues at the time, so we had a area of that. So she was like a little weak, and didn't, so we thought we were going to be split up at a certain point between like the 3 people who made it and the 2 people who didn't.
Wow.
I think her father had rented a car. Now that I'm thinking about it, had rented a car. So he dropped the car off, and that's why we were split up.
Oh my God.
We ended up not getting split up. Everyone made it on time.
That's good. I would, yeah. Wow. God, I can't imagine renting a car in a foreign country.
Oh, I don't know how we did it. You rented, it was like a Sprinter van almost, so it was like 5 people and all of our luggage that we were carrying around these like little tiny roads where I think everything's manual. So he had to remember how to drive stick shift. And then also, I don't know if they drive on the other side of the road or not.
Look, I know doing Uber like everywhere isn't necessarily like always financially realistic. That
Mhm.
was my plan going in, but what we ended up doing was we did oddly enough in London we took more Ubers than anywhere else, but that's just because getting acclimated.
Mhm.
France, we took with our Uber to our first dinner because we were like, timing wise, we needed to move fast. Other than that, Wes, we were public transport the entire time in France, public transport in
Love it.
Milan, and then we walked around all of Venice.
Mhm.
So like, like saved so much money on that.
Well, you can spend it all on the delicious food there. All the
Exactly.
pasta and pizza. You're just walking it off anyway. Aside from the, I'm sure you had no gluten issues over there.
Uh, it was. They had a lot of signs for gluten free stuff
Oh
in
yeah.
Italy. Yeah, I
But
was
did you
surprised.
did you get like
I
gluten?
I didn't ask. I didn't raise anything because that was fine. No, I was
Yeah.
no. So no. I didn't ask for any gluten free shit, and I was totally fine. So like, I didn't feel
Yeah.
that bloating or anything like that.
Yeah. Get it together, America.
It's not ideal. But and I did whereas last time when I was in Greece, I gained a smidge of weight on my honeymoon, like probably like 2 pounds. I lost, I think like 5 pounds
Oh yeah.
this trip. So yeah, a lot
Well,
more
yeah.
walking for sure.
You're a lot more leisurely of a vacation on a honeymoon.
Oh yeah, I mean this was, and we were like we went, 2 days here, boom, leave. 2 days here, boom, leave. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah,
Awesome. Well, yeah. Welcome back. Good to have you back on the States.
thank you very much. And next week we got
Oh.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
The long
Finally,
awaited. I've like stayed away from stuff more so than I usually do. So I'm proud of myself here.
nice, nice. Yeah, I wish I could say the same, but it's just been, eh,
It comes at me, but I haven't been
yeah.
seeking it out. That's the big difference.
You know what? I can't say that because I've never seeked it out like you do. But I'm curious how much that impacts your viewing process when we get there. But
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
almost there. See, it's
We're
here.
almost there. I can't wait. Very excited. I've been waiting a very long time for this. As I'm sure you have, and everyone at home can't wait to listen to our episode. And it'll be up at the same bat time, same bat place as always.